What's good, Enigmites? What if I told you the Salem Witch Trials was nothing but a bunch of lies? Would you believe me? Stick around and find out. Jay, you know we love history around here. Me and you were known to read. We're known to dig deep. We're known to get into the little wild side of it. And I tell you one of the things that I like most about history, Jay. I like reading it, and then I like catch people lying about it. Sometimes I read subjects I don't like just so I can catch people
We kept somebody
lying about it, right? And we're going to wade into some water today. I wasn't going to do it, fam. I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to go into this thing. Today we're going to be talking about the Salem Witch Trials. And I wasn't going to wade into this situation for a lot of reasons. Number one, the paranormal is really not my thing, right? Witchcraft is real. If you're doing it, you're stupid. You should absolutely stop, right? But two, you know what? It's really not my thing, man. I don't like going into it. I don't like stepping on people's toes. Except somebody sent me something. I don't like using the word triggered, but they sent me something. And I'm like, you know what?
Someone actually sent you something that triggered you.
Yes.
that is a feat.
Normally it doesn't happen, man.
I need to know this person. I need to know this person.
Normally I can laugh it off, right? Like, even when people come at me with some stuff, I'm like, not gonna lie, man, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good zinger right there. I might use that in parties about myself.
Right.
Somebody sent me this thing about the Salem Witch Trials, and it hit all the little keywords.
Touched all the buttons.
Touched all the buttons, man. About,
the naughty places.
Yeah, the whole words like patriarchy, suppression, all this other stuff, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that literally didn't happen. So, today, as we do, I've called in Uncle Jay.
Yeah.
Because he is the urban legends guy around here. And that's what this falls into.
We got the receipts for this one.
Exactly. Because if y'all don't know it, the Salem Witch Trials and what you think you know is an urban legend. And I'm about to let you have it.
Man.
Let's get into it, Jay. You ready?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Well, so first of all, if you're new to the show, welcome. Subscribe, do what you do. But most importantly, take notes. Put the kids away. I'm going to go through this whole episode without using a swear word. That's the goal for today.
That's the challenge, huh?
That's the challenge. What I'm going to do is, man,
let's see who breaks first.
Every time I curse in a podcast from now on, I'm going to send somebody a free T-shirt. I'm just going to pick a random person and send them a free T-shirt, right? Eventually, I'll stop doing that.
That's going to be an expensive podcast.
I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better. Anyways, if you don't know anything about the Salem Witch Trials, well, first of all, you got to know something about these people called the Puritans, right? And so, like I said, this channel, we actually do history stuff here. We've been on this crazy dogman kick and cryptid kick for a while, but that book back there, the 52 Apocrypha, is another book that we get into. But we also do a lot of history stuff because I've proven several times, beyond a reasonable doubt, the following three things: the Egyptians did not build the pyramids.
The Egyptians did not build the pyramids.
Space is not a void. CERN is the portal to Antichrist, and all three theoretical physicists are basically losers. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay, so let's. The second one is new for me.
We'll get to that.
Space is not a void.
It's not a void. It's the ether spelled with an A. A-E-T-H-E-R. Ether. Anyways, that's a different podcast. Has nothing to do with the Puritans.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. So look.
Plymouth Rock,
1620. If you paid attention there in third grade, like I did not, and had to read about this 3 days ago, 1620, Plymouth Rock, the Puritans landed. If you don't know what the Puritans were, they were the first, I want to be careful what I say here, Anglo...
they were religious refugees.
I was going to say radicals, but yes, radical refugees. They were so radical that they got thrown out of England or asked to leave and given 3 ships. Right? We'll pay for you to leave, right? And so they did.
Fellas.
Here you go.
Brand new place for you.
So yes, so basically what we call
Mr. Australia.
Yeah, exactly. Basically our pilgrims, right?
Yeah.
So they left England. They broke with the church over there because the church was not strict. They didn't think the church was strict enough.
Was strict enough.
Right. So they didn't think the church was strict enough.
The beginning of hold my beer religious style.
Exactly right. So they left. They sailed across the ocean blue and whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure there's a song for it. They left England. They landed in Massachusetts, right? In a place called Plymouth Rock. And the first settlement they ever created on Plymouth Rock was called Salem Town, right? And it was a port city. I'm just giving you the basic history facts as we go here before we get into the meat of it.
Well, this was a little bit down the road, but yeah, I mean...
yeah. So
the people that hit Plymouth Rock kind of spread and bred and...
They spread out, yeah. So you had people that formed Salem Town, and then you had some refugees move inland. I don't know if they call them refugees, but moved inland.
Well, there were farming. It was a port town with a farming community outside.
Yeah, outside, and that was
pretty
called
much how they all...
Salem Village. So those are the two things that you need to write those down, fam, because those are the two things that will come back to play a part down the road when these things take place, right? You have Salem Town and Salem Village. Now, Salem Town, throughout the years, became very prosperous. Actually became a really big trading port, believe it or not, man. It's probably some still remnants over there. And, of course, Salem Village...
It's a fairly decent-sized city now. I mean, I've been to Salem.
Oh, okay.
I went to high school up in New England, so... I got a whole story. We'll get back to that.
Yeah. And so Salem Village did not prosper. They stayed poor. They were just rural areas or whatever, right? So... Now,
not purposefully poor though, because they were Puritans.
Yeah, so like I said, they didn't believe in salt or
fun of any sort.
Right?
No fun of any sort.
No fun at all. You just sit there and be quiet and just pray.
Literally sit there quiet and pray.
Yeah, exactly. And so it developed. Now, that's the layout. Now let's get into the meat of this, right? So what breaks it down to it, right? So around 1692, a full 72 years later, is when this incident happens, right? And this incident stemmed from a very specific incident. Well, so the legend will tell you, right? And that's what this is. The urban legend will tell you that this Salem Witch Trials kicked off on a very specific instance. Now, I'm going to say this now and double back to it later. Remember this, fam. Two things can be true at the same time, all right? Remember that right there. So, 1692, there was a reverend in the town. His name was Reverend Samuel Paris, right? And Samuel Paris had a daughter named Betty Paris. These are important names to remember. And he had a niece called Abigail Williams, right? Now, when Samuel Paris and his wife would travel, Betty and Abigail would stay with their house servant, this lady named Tuba, Tituba. How do you pronounce that, Jay? Tuba, right? Here's where the first legend is. Here's where the first lie comes in. Tituba was not an African slave. She was Venezuelan or some type of South American Creole.
She was from Barbados.
Barbados, right? She was from South America, maybe Creole, maybe not, and she wasn't a slave, right? She was a house servant.
Well, she was a slave.
Well, I can tell you why. In 1694, I'll tell you why she wasn't a slave. So here you go, right?
Oh,
I got the full threads on it, right?
Yeah.
So Samuel Paris, I don't know his wife's name. It wasn't important. Women didn't get names back then, I guess. So she just left, right? Unless they were a key part of the story. They would go on trips. And they would leave Tituba with the kids, right? These girls were about 13, 14 years old. And so
They were 9.
Were they 9? I thought they were like 13 or 14.
Yeah, so there was, they were
9 and 11?
Something like that. Like 9 and 11 years old. They were not old.
Yeah, so basically 1 year away from getting married back in that day, right? So 9 and 11, right?
Not quite marriage age yet.
But close, right? According to how they did things back then.
God, dude.
So I don't know why. So here is question mark number 1, but this actually probably really happened. I don't know. So Tituba, to entertain these girls, thought it would be a good idea to teach them how to scry. And if you don't know how to scry, scrying is basically she gave them a big bowl of water and told them to crack eggs into the water, stare into the water, and what you see the egg yolks make is going to be your future. I have no idea why this woman in this would think that would be cool.
a good idea, right?
What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, well, a lot
Here's
went
why.
wrong, right?
Because they were 9 and 11, and they were making her life a living hell,
Is that what
and
it is?
this fascinated the fuck out of them.
Exactly right.
Ah,
There you
crap.
go. You owe somebody a T-shirt. So yeah,
I do.
so so they did it. So the girls were playing quietly, and all of a sudden, story goes, I don't know which girl, but they saw a coffin, and it freaked
Yep.
them out, right? Oh, I guess they were trying to find out who their future husband was going to be. I think that was probably a key part of the story.
That's the deal, right? You
Yeah.
put the egg yolks in the water, and the shape it makes, right, when it drops in there, is supposed to be a
Your
symbol of your future
Sim-
husband,
okay, yeah, great.
if that's what you're looking for, so to speak.
Exactly. So that was the first Ouija board, y'all. So nothing good happens to this. So anyways, they get scared. They freak out. Put everything away. Don't say nothing. And then this is a very, what I felt, this is a very weird part right here. All right. Something started happening to these two girls. They started becoming catatonic. They started having, like, I wouldn't say fits, but they were barking like a dog.
Yeah, they were having fits.
They were just being very, very,
How it was described.
yeah, and they were just being very odd and not themselves. I don't know why that happened, and I did a lot of research on that, looking for maybe it was some type of mold, bad eggs, something, mushrooms, who knows, right?
Good old-fashioned acting.
Yeah, maybe, right? So, anyways, so they got upset. They told their dad that Tituba bewitched them, right? And so, Samuel Paris was a very serious individual. He's very much like Stannis Baratheon on Game of Thrones. He is a very serious individual. He took it serious. Formal charges were filed. Tituba was brought before the local courtroom, county, or whatever they want to call it they were doing there, charged with witchcraft. Now, back then, this is where the Puritans' logic were, and I actually believe this happened, is that if you confessed to a crime, you were given leniency. But if you fought the crime, you
maintain your innocence.
You maintained your innocence, you took a beating for it. So she actually confessed, yes, I did it. But here's where it gets a little weird for me, and this happened. I do believe this happened. For some unknown reason, she said that she signed what she called the Devil's Book. She bewitched the children, but she wasn't the only one. And she started giving up other women in the towns that was doing it, right? I don't know why she did that, right? And it doesn't.
I do.
It don't really explains to it. So maybe towards the back it ties in there somehow. So this leads to
ties together quite perfectly.
Yeah. So this leads to it does. This leads to a major interrogation and hysteria. Tituba confessed. She said these people do it, and all of a sudden it grew rapidly to the point where 200 people were arrested. Over 50 of them confessed. 30 of them went to jail, and 200 of them were put to death. Now, I'm going to pause that right there, right? I'm going to give you some fun facts, and then I'm going to start breaking this thing down where the lies comes in, right? Number one, the trials and executions were called the Court of Oyer and Terminier. I don't even know what that means, but I'm sure it was something pure.
Well, I mean, you got to think, man, this was like
pure and pious.
300 years ago, they spoke a little bit differently, right?
Yeah. And so the evidence brought for these people included spectral evidence, testimony of the spirit world, committing witchcraft, confessions obtained under duress, which, by the way, I don't know of any confession not ever obtained under duress. Even if you rob a 7-Eleven and they put you in a room for 12 hours, it's kind of duress. It doesn't matter, man.
Kind of duress, yeah.
So all confessions are obtained under duress. And so here's where we go. Here's where we go, people. And here's where I'm going to lay it out. That is the historical background of what you've been told to believe, right? And then it spins off into over 200 women were burned at the stake. The Salem Witch Trials, the Salem Massacre.
Yep.
None of it happened. None of it happened. Here you go.
It happened.
Well, so
but not for the reasons.
Well, no. So no, here.
That one would think.
We'll go down the list here. 200 women did not get burned at the stake.
No.
Matter of fact, nobody got burned at the stake. Not one person. 50 people were found guilty. 150 of the other accused were let go. The 30 that confessed were punished mildly and let go. The 20 who didn't confess, 19 of them were hanged. One of them was a dude, and he was put to death by putting heavy rocks on his chest. I don't know why.
Pressed.
Right?
Pressed,
right?
It's a way it was a way to see if they were an actual witch or not.
And the only reason why he didn't confess is because he had no heirs to his family, and if he would have confessed, his lands would have been taken over by like members of the Freemason Lodge, and his wife and children would have been hanged. I can't remember his name, but he died for his family. So out of the 19 other people that died, I don't know how many of them were women, but not one single one of them was burned. In fact, burning at the stake was not used in Salem because English law prescribed hanging as the punishment for witchcraft. Only in Europe were women burned at the stake. So that's lie number 1. Lie number 2, there was not 200 women who died at Salem. Did not happen. 20 people died. Period. That's not a massacre. In fact, probably the same amount of people died from diarrhea that month as they did from the people that they hung from, or the 19 that they hung. That's lie number 2. Lie number 3 is my favorite lie of all. They weren't going house to house with pitchforks and torches and 3 muskets and dragging women, cutting up herbs into the street and burning them at the stake in their yards. That never happened. There was not a persecution of witches in Salem from 1692 to 1694. What you had was a series of what I like to call lawfare was going on. Every single, and this was going to play into the second half of this when we tell you what really happened.
Yeah.
Every single accusation of witchcraft had to be investigated. So all I had to do was say, Jay's a witch, and they would have to take him into custody, no matter what, and he would have to go to trial. He couldn't say, no, I'm not, and have another witness. It was the only charge that carried that weight, where you immediately have to go before a trial, right?
Yep.
So that tells you that. So when I saw this thing that somebody sent me saying that I'm the granddaughter of the witch that you tried to burn, that's why I decided to make this podcast, because no witches were burned in Salem.
No.
Your grandmother, if your grandmother was alive in 1692, you're not 19.
Very old.
You're very old, right?
You're very old.
So very old.
Look, somebody lied to you.
Yeah, you lied. Right?
It's okay. My parents lied to me all the time about a bunch of stuff. It's all good.
Yeah.
They lie. It's fine.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. This was a turf war.
100%. 100%.
It's fascinating to me how this got played, because, I've heard all the things, and I've heard all the lies that, like you said. I even went there, man. And I used to live near there when I was in high school. So we went up there, and because a friend of mine, her mom was a witch. So
shocker. And you were hanging out there.
Shocker. So yeah, I like interesting people. So I went to Salem and met interesting people in Salem. I love it there. It's neat. It's very touristy though. Like it's a
it's a
like,
grift.
It's like Disney. It's like kind of. It's like Disney witchcraft now, kind of new agey and lots of crystals and stuff like that. Here's the thing. There's so much shit that we don't know that I don't know that any of it's not necessarily valid, right? Some of this stuff really does have an effect, right?
Oh no, yeah. So like
for reals.
So
yeah, like voodoo. People have been voodoo cursed, and it's the power of their own mind that's actually the one that's like.
So yeah, the Bible will specifically tell you to avoid witchcraft, sorcery, and necromancy, which is actually kind of a wild thing in there. But that book right back there will also will tell you that the Watchers taught women witchcraft and all this other stuff, and it specifically says, don't do it. Don't mess with it.
I think that that rule, I think that the rule, the witchcraft rule, and they talked about divination there too,
Yeah.
right? Don't try to predict the future and don't get involved in witchcraft. I think that those were there because we didn't understand what we were messing with.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that the idea of trying to predict your own future has a lot of pitfalls, right?
Oh, so terrible.
But it can also be a useful exercise. Right? So like when you talk about this is all really interesting that you brought this topic to me now, right? Because there's some hullabaloo going on in the bubble about witchcraft, literally right now, like lawsuits and stuff.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
To interject what you're talking about there as well, man. A reason why scrying is a bad thing is actually the reason why. So witchcraft works if you believe in witchcraft. Voodoo works if you believe in voodoo. If you go to a fortune teller and she says you're going to die in 3 months, it's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will think that you're going to die in 3 months. None of that stuff has any effect on a person who doesn't believe in it. You can kill all the chickens you want to try to make Jay do something. He ain't doing it.
Right.
It ain't happening, right? It's not going to happen, right?
Probably not going to work.
Yeah, so
yeah,
it ain't happening.
No, and I get what you're saying there. Yeah. And it really does that power of belief thing has to be there.
Right, for sure.
To work.
For sure. I mean, even a premise in voodoo, right? Like, is if you go to see a voodoo doctor, you have to believe that it's going to. They'll ask you, "Do you believe?" Even Jesus Christ will tell you in the Bible, "Do you believe I can do this?" Yes, then it will happen for you, right? Your mind is a powerful thing, right?
Yeah.
But so, and I'm telling you, people, if you're into witchcraft, don't send me that crap. I normally wouldn't respond. I normally would. Yeah, send it to Jay. Send it to that.
Welcome it. Yeah, I happily welcome all that stuff.
Yeah, send it to him.
It's fun for me. I find it fascinating.
Yeah, and definitely
because it is like there's elements of like ancient herbalism in there too that can really help people, right? Like willow bark. Willow bark is aspirin.
No.
Willow bark tea is probably a really good painkiller. It's probably good.
And again, I'm glad you got that. I'm glad you just brought that up, man. The last little bullet in my thing down here too is that these people were not pulling out clinical herbalists for making painkillers and mixing onions.
No,
this didn't happen. This was a literal witch hunt in the proverbial sense, like the way that we mean it now. Yeah, a witch hunt. And
they were going after people for old grudges.
Yeah, and that's actually really good. And 200 women did not get burned at the stake. It's a lie. It never happened. It's not a massacre, right?
Didn't happen.
So,
it was literally like a turf war between two families.
And so here we go. And so Jay, that's a great point. I didn't connect that dot. But here's the term. I wonder if this is where the term witch hunt actually came from, right?
It is.
So here's two names. Now that's what they'll tell you happened. Now me and Jay are going to tell you what really happened, right? And the guy's name that died for his family, his name was, I got it right here. His name was Giles Corey. He was pressed to death. And the only reason why he didn't confess is because he would have lost the rights to his land and his wife and children would have been homeless. But if he died via execution, they got to keep it. So real American hero. I mean that, like real American hero right there. That's
truly, yeah. I mean, went down swinging for his family.
Yeah.
That's
so. Forget all that crap you heard, and if you believe in that stuff, then come see my next episode where I tell you why Friday the 13th is really considered bad luck, because that's when the Roman Catholic Church wiped out the Knights Templar, and it's got nothing to do with a guy running around a daggone abandoned campground or whatever he's doing.
Machete.
Stupid.
With a machete and a mask.
Dumb. So dumb. Anyways, people are so gullible. I should start selling virtual hamsters, dude. I'll make $1 million. Anyways,
man.
Enough of that.
There's a lot of people making a lot of money off of gullible people right now.
Yeah. So anyways, remember these two names, because these are the two guys. Guarantee they were both Freemasons. Porters.
Here we go.
And Putman. It's called the Porters and Putman.
The Porters and the Putnams.
Porters and the Putmans feud. Now this was a this was a clan, right? There's clan of
what? And then an N. Putnam.
Putnam. Okay, Putnam.
Because there's a city in Connecticut named Putnam.
Well, it's probably from these guys, right?
It was a big family.
So what you have here, to give you the background on what really went down in here, you have the Porters and the Putnam. The Porters were in the sawmill business. The Putnams were in the agriculture business. There was about anywhere from 20 to 30, maybe 40 of each of them, right? Like these were large family bodies, right? The Porters mistakenly, which I don't think it was a mistake, rerouted their water for their sawmill and flooded the Putnams.
The dam failed.
Exactly right. The dam cracked and flooded the Putnams' crops, right? Basically cost them a lot of money. And so again, this is another thing why I tell you people that the Salem Witch Trials were a sham, and the people walking down the streets going, burn her at the stake. They were so litigious. They didn't pick up arms and try to go kill these people. They took them to court. They started suing them. Yep. The Putnams actually filed a lawsuit against the Porters.
For damages.
Yeah, these people weren't pitchfork wielding, torch bearing, burn them at the stake. They were incredibly strictly religious.
Business people.
Exactly. And so they took them to court. Now, here's where the feud comes in. Here's where the feud comes in. And what Jay says, the Salem Witch Trials are 100% two things. A complete fake hoax lie to get people fired up, right? And was 100% a political turf war for power and money. Two of the top families were going in there, and one family actually won.
Included the church.
Yes, and they brought in the church. Now, so what happened is the following. The name I told you to remember at the very beginning, name Samuel Paris. He was a very strict religious person, almost radical, right?
When he got to Salem,
yes,
he was a very religious.
The current head minister was stepping down. The Putnams were backing Paris. That was his guy. The Porters said
how many had they gone through already?
Yeah, like 3, right? Right.
He'd already gone through 3 ministers, only staying 2 years each.
Yeah. These people are hard to deal with.
I can't do this here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's guys. When ministers say, I can't work with these people.
Yeah. It's time to change. So the
Porters take notice.
So the Porters, I don't know if they had a guy they were backing on their own, but they definitely did not want Samuel Paris, right? And so what they did was
because the Porters were more secular.
Yes,
they were from the city part.
Yeah, they were more towards the Salem town port area.
They were from Salem town.
Yeah,
they were quote unquote outsiders.
Right. So what happened is the Porters knew they were headed for something with the Putnams, so they basically started stacking the council with their guys, right? Putting their guys in there, right? And here's where like the Game of Thrones, when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die situation comes in. Mm-hmm. So the Putnams like, yo, they got us on that. What can we do? And what they did is start accusing them of witchcraft.
First, they found a patsy.
Yes.
Samuel Paris.
Samuel Paris, exactly right. So Samuel Paris.
Putnams put Samuel Paris in power.
Right.
And because let's look at Samuel Paris for a minute. Samuel Paris is from Barbados. Failed businessman from Barbados.
Who else was from Barbados, Jay?
Goes back to Salem. To Tuba. Comes with him as his house servant, along with the girls and his wife.
So
the businesses, they lost everything in Barbados because of the war.
Pay attention, Enigmites. This is important.
Little wars.
This is important.
And so they lost everything and had to go back.
Right.
Well, when they got there, one of the major complaints that Samuel Paris had about his parsonage in Salem Village, Joe?
You guys were not serious enough. You're too loose, right? Leaning too liberal.
Or the name of the property is in the name of the parsonage and not the name of Samuel Paris.
So there you go.
That's what they were arguing about.
And here's where it gets good. So the Porters started stacking the council. They did not want this guy to be the head honcho. The Putnam started accusing them of witchcraft, which was a automatic have to be defended in court, right?
Well,
Had to.
Paris's household is where it all originated from.
And yeah, exactly. And just funny
And
enough,
the Putnams were the ones who awarded him the parsonage in his name just previous to that.
and just funny enough is that
As a minister,
well,
he would know all of the things that would happen in witch trial.
so Samuel Paris and Tituba known each other for a long time.
Long time.
And remember that because I got the zinger coming at the end of this.
I know, I see it.
So he comes, starts accusing people of witchcraft, right? And it works. And it works a lot. So they start bringing people in. 200 of them were brought in. And out of the 200, I want to say, I don't have the exact notes, almost half of them were Porters. Half of them were related to the Porters. Like 50% of the people that were brought up on witchcraft charges were had to do with the Porters.
Either Porters or friends of Porters.
Porters or supporters or friends of the Porters, right? And so
Porters.
It worked. Putnam's got their way. They got their guy. The Samuel Paris became the head, I don't know, pastor. I don't even know what you would call that guy. What do they call them?
Yeah, minister.
The minister of whatever, of the church. And so then, all of a sudden, calm down everybody. People can be redeemed. Some of the people that had confessed and went to jail for a little while, they came out. They were redeemed. Like I said, only 19 people were hanged. And they were the ones who refused to confess they were guilty. No one found guilty of witchcraft was burned at the stake or killed. 20 people who said they were innocent till the end died. Now here comes the kick, Jay. Here comes the kick. Boom. Not even Tituba was put to death. The one who was charged with supposedly
signing the Maleficorum Maleficus.
Yes, the Coram Maleficus there of the whole entire thing that went down, right? And so here you go. And here's why I tell you, right? Tituba is the original Kaiser Soze. Because not only was Tituba not killed, not only was she not killed, she was the one that went in there and started naming other people. Those other people were Porters. So how does a supposed African house slave, which she was not, she was a Barbados,
she was from the East Indies,
employee, probably having an affair with Sam Paris. I don't have any proof of that, but probably on that. But she was very cared for by Samuel and his family. She started naming people she didn't know to be in the devil's book, and that's what got it started. And here you go, fam. The root of it, because Salem was so racist and so horrible, and we just love to burn white women that we're going to just, no way we're going to let the brown girl go. That's exactly what happened. In May 1693, after the witch trials had lost their momentum and the remaining prisoners were released, Tituba was supposedly held in jail, but for political reasons, Sam Paris was not going to pay to get her released. But then, lo and behold, an anonymous figure stepped forward in the middle of the night, paid her bond, and she walked out of jail for free and then just drifted off into the moonlight and lived her life happily ever. Wasn't resold. She was not resold to anybody.
No. What really happened? She had different motivations.
Probably.
She had a fiance who was an indentured servant. And so...
Did he get killed?
He was a free man.
How'd he get free?
Right?
How'd he get free, Jay?
In marrying a free and indentured servant, she could win her own freedom.
There you go. Boom. She walked away, rode off into the midnight. And what you have there, ladies and gentlemen, is a quick... I'm not done with y'all yet. a quick
and dirty land scam.
Man, that's what you got here, man. What you got is when what you got is what happens when Freemasons go to war with each other. Right here, exactly. You have a old school mafioso style turf warfare for power, land, and money to get people back in the day. The number one thing you could do to get people really in trouble was to get them excommunicated from the church. People found guilty from witchcraft were excommunicated by the decree of Samuel Paris, right? But it's funny because after they repented and they came back out, a lot of them were let back into the church. And what you have here is what I would say almost a Chicago-style way of doing business when two warring factions fighting for power manipulated the church, manipulated the emotions, hid behind a smoke cloud of fake witch trials.
It was brilliant.
It's actually very smart. It's actually very, very smart.
Think about it. The Putnam family,
yeah,
they found them a minister that was amenable to doing the thing they wanted to do.
Yep.
He was from nowhere. He was from nowhere close.
Down on his luck.
He was from nowhere close. No one knew who he was.
Nope.
He went to Harvard.
Yep.
Went to Harvard. Came from a modest family of good standing, right? But these people were known as nonconformists in England, right? Kind of rebels. But then he went to Barbados and the hurricane completely decimated his sugar plantation. He's got no money and no money and no place to go. The only place he's familiar with is Massachusetts.
Yep.
So he heads back there. Wow, he just kind of stumbles into an opportunity to own some land.
Yep.
With the promise to own more. But see, here's what sucks. And this is my crazy historical theory about the whole thing. I think it backfired.
Really?
Because if you look at the aftermath, right, and you dig a little, here's what I love about stories. Everybody loves the story, but they don't like the context, right? What happened a little bit before and what happened a little bit after, right? Because a little bit before, the dam broke. This means war. We're going to sue you, but then we're going to ruin you too. Because we've got this guy, and he's got this slave who's willing to say whatever to get her freedom and go be with her fiance. And the way to get her freedom is to spend a little time in jail. Until this all blows over. If she says the right words at the right time and names the right people. So they think they're going to swoop in, right? And just grab a couple people. But then things get out of hand. Because at one point during the trials, Paris says, we can't use the touch method. Right? Do you know what the touch method was?
No.
Did you run across that?
Tell everybody that.
So during the Salem Witch Trials, they defaulted to this. Late in the trials, they defaulted to this thing called the touch method, right?
Pure science. Pure genius.
Pure genius. If the person who's having the fit, right? If the witch touches them, the fit will stop. That's not completely subjective at all, right? You can't rig that in any way. Not even a little bit. Nah, that couldn't go wrong. So during this is happening, Thomas Paris is actually telling them not to do it this way because I think it escalated far out of what they expected, right?
Right.
Because then all this shitstorm starts happening after all this shit concludes and these people go back to their homes and everybody's kind of like, oh, you mother pluckers. I know exactly what you did. And so then the shit started to roll back downhill and it kind of ruined Paris and it kind of ruined the Putnams a bit because they have started a war and too many people got caught up in it. And so it came back to bite them in the ass later on. Right. So I think it got out of hand. I think there was a little ploy, right, to get him some land and get some people out of the way. And then they started touching each other and the hysteria hit and everybody started getting crazy and it got out of control. It's my theory. I'm sticking to it.
God, these people were so stupid. These people were so dumb, man. I mean,
But it was a brilliant scheme, though, from the
I'm talking about, yeah,
beginning.
man. Like, so here's
Then
how
it got out of hand.
here's my
It's really,
here's
it's
my
not
theory.
too
Here's
many bottles.
here's my theory, right? That's actually a pretty good theory, right? And if you ever want to lose hope, if you ever needed any type of evidence to lose hope in college educations, a lot of those people probably graduated from Harvard, and so and just so like I think so did a couple other people that are in the press right now graduated from Harvard. So yeah. Anyways, here's what I think happened, right? Sugarcane plantation, hurricane, all that's fact, man. Business is wiped out or whatever. He
Yep.
drifts back in. He did go to Harvard. He comes in or whatever. He's looking for it. Dam breaks. I don't think that dam broke on purpose. I think the porters struck first, right? Thought that they could ruin them financially.
You don't think it was an accident, is what
Nah.
you're saying?
Nah.
The dam?
I think so. I mean, it's very convenient. It works out. It works out. So for example, if you and
They
I,
weren't really directly in competition, though.
well,
Like, here's where I think of when I think of, like, did they do it on purpose? I think about what would be the gain.
here's where I think the gain is, right? I think they were probably already looking. They probably were already looking to position themselves to have more influence to put somebody at the top of the church. This guy Harris just showed up, in my opinion, and the Putman's like, hey, look, they hit us first, we'll follow suit, but hey, you know what? This is a good chance, right? And because they were stacking the elder board or whatever they were doing back there, the porters
The
were.
town council.
Yeah, and they were stacking the board. And I think the Putnams came in, and the accusing them of witchcraft is brilliant. Is absolutely brilliant, right? And this guy that was down on his luck, man, had no money or whatever, perfect patsy or perfect mouthpiece for it, perfect credentials. He just got in town.
Nothing.
He's got no reason to pick a side, right?
No. Well, he picks the side that's going to profit him the most.
Well, they approached him and they paid him.
He went from
he was fair.
They went from
Yeah.
he went from having no money and no land
Yeah.
of his own to owning his own land
Yeah.
again.
The Putnams put him up, right? I don't think
Yeah.
Tituba or whatever her name was his slave. I think she was more likely his lover, because if you're down on your
you think?
yeah, if you're down on your luck and you're broke and you got a slave, why are you not selling her? She had to make the trip. You brought her back with you.
Oh no,
So, anyways,
you don't sell a slave when you're down on money.
well, so for me, I'm thinking that she was treated.
That's hands, dude.
She was treated very, very, very well.
Oh yeah, she was probably well. She was. Here's the other thing,
Right.
and this is something I just thought about. You take a woman from a rich sugar plantation, and I'm talking about any woman. I'm sorry, sweetheart, all of y'all, but it's true. Women, I follow the Chris Rock philosophy on this. Women do not take a step down in comfort.
No.
Feel me?
Oh, I know that. I know somebody's going through that right now. Right now.
Right?
Yeah.
Or yeah, they don't take a step down in comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get mad about that, and I get it.
Not me.
We don't like it either. Women have a tendency to have a certain kind of reaction when that happens. There's a little bit of desperation that becomes palpable, and I can understand that because women are in vulnerable positions when their life takes that kind of turn. It's specifically vulnerable.
Yeah, that's why.
I don't think it's unfounded.
That's why that's the best advice I give people, man, is that never date a woman who doesn't respect your wife. That's rule number one right there. That's rule number one right there, right?
Definitely, yeah.
So-
That's very good advice.
So, anyways,
Anyway.
but
That gives her more motivation to go along with the plot. Is she came from this big, huge sugar plantation where she was the house servant in this nice big mansion, and then all of a sudden she's in freaking Salem Village.
yeah, I know. Cold, wet,
That's a step down.
religious,
bro.
freaking person over your head. But
And
so
his wife passed not too long after that too.
nothing strange about that at all. And so, anyways, I think this was all, and I guarantee you they were all Freemasons. I guarantee it. This is all.
You think?
100%, 100%.
I think the Puritans were kind of against that, weren't they?
No, 100. I guarantee you, bro.
I have to
Guarantee.
dig deep on that one.
Yes.
I'm curious now.
Do your homework on that and go back and find that too. So, anyways,
Absolutely.
that's all this was, everybody. That's all this was. This was nothing to do
It
with.
was a literal witch hunt, like in the weird figurative meta way.
It was a complete witch hunt between two white men. Families going at it.
Two two old white families with a beef.
Old money fighting each
This
other.
is
That's
how
all
that
this
shit
was.
ended
Right?
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was an old money fight.
Old money fight right there. And these people were not going door to door, dragging women out who were alone with black cats, burning them. That is a lie. That never happened. 200, again, I'm going to say it again in case you tuned in late. 200 women did not get burned at the stake in Salem, Massachusetts. It did not happen. 200 people were accused. 50 were seriously taken. 30 of them said they were guilty, went to jail for like 4 days, whatever. 20 of them did not confess. 19 of them were hanged. One of them, the man, was pressed to death. Now, so it's a lie. Salem, Massachusetts. Here comes the second lie that I'm about to put on this, right? Just because you made me mad, you brought witchcraft into it, and now I beat you down. I know you're going to watch this episode, and feel free to go at me in the comments, right? But now I'm going to go hard on Salem, Massachusetts. You bunch of nerds, right? You bunch of losers up there in Salem, Massachusetts.
Hey,
First
man,
of all,
it's about money, sir.
Salem, Massachusetts is not the most haunted place in America. Period. And matter of fact,
Pennsylvania is.
the most haunted place in the 50 states is actually Hawaii. Number 2 is actually Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Go look it up. Those are the two most haunted places in the United States of America. Now, Salem.
Nice little midnight walk through the battlefields.
Yeah, right. Don't do that. Don't listen to this guy. You'll be taking something home with you don't want to take home, right? Salem, Massachusetts likes to lay that claim that it's the most haunted place in America because they want tourists to go there. And look, it's fine. I don't care what you do, right?
Now.
So they have what they do is it's so stupid. So stupid. They want, and you can go find this on the Salem Visit Massachusetts website or one of their, the visitor centers or whatever. It'll say that the tragic events of 1692 left a deep scar on the town. No, it didn't. There was no deep scar there. 200 women didn't get burned. It didn't happen. Many believe the spirits of the innocent victims who were falsely accused and executed still linger. You mean the 19 people that got hanged? Like, again, 19 other people died.
They probably do.
Well, 19 people died of toothaches that month as well. But they still walking around.
Cholera.
Yeah, everybody died back there. A mosquito would kill you. Yeah. The unmarked grave. There are no unmarked graves. They all were buried in after they
family plot.
They were died or whatever, and they were buried there. They'll try to tell you one old lady got her head cut off. No, she didn't. Execution sites. No, there was one site. It was the town gallows outside the jail where they would bring you out and you were hung. It wasn't sites. And old buildings from the area continue to believe that Salem is haunted by restless spirits. No, it's not. It's not. Salem, Massachusetts is I've never been there, but it's just a grift, man. And if you're into that stuff, go there.
You know what the vampires say about Halloween?
What's that?
The same thing the Irish say about St. Patty's.
Exactly, man.
It's amateur hour.
It is, man. It's all it is up there. And what Salem does have, it has a couple locations up there called the historic sites, which are the Salem Witch House, which, again, no one died there. The old Burying Point Cemetery. Well, any cemetery could have some spirits, huh?
It's just rolled into this huge weird snowball.
Yeah. No, it's like
and I never really got that deep into it until now, and then I started digging, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, it's fascinating because this is it's a familiar story, man. Like,
oh, everybody's heard about
shit
this.
Was happening.
Yeah.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, like, I thought it was legit religious hysteria, right? But really, what it just comes down to is greed.
Money. It's money driven, man. That's all
greed,
it was.
Just straight up greed and grudgery.
Yeah. And it says also many paranormal investigators go there and see shadows. Okay, sure. Every graveyard, you can probably pick up something or whatever.
Dude, that place has been around since 1600 and what, 30?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's 300 years
it's
worth of
a 300-year-old town. Harper's Ferry's probably haunted for all I know, from where and only 20 people died there as well. Something ridiculous.
I mean, Prince's house is haunted.
Exactly.
He's got forks sticking in the ceiling every once in a while.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah. I'm moving. That's why I'm building my house. But look, so that's what really happened. That's the truth. That's the historical facts. Salem makes a lot of money from people going up there, and I'm sure witchcraft is all a buzz up there. Everybody's playing with the Ouija board.
oh, it is.
You're
It
all
is a goth princess's
you're
paradise.
all you're all Wiccas now. You're out there hanging up crystals and I
Well,
don't know,
see, and so let's take
lavender.
that. Let's take that and set that aside from the people who actually like. So traditionally, right? There are people who follow a tradition, and
Of
this is more
witchcraft?
about. It's a different kind. Okay, so dude, all right.
Well,
Let me bend your brain for a
yeah.
minute. Yeah, yeah, right. So there's. Let me start. Let me find a good reference point here.
Please do.
Protestants and Catholics,
I'm in them.
kind of the same thing but different.
Don't really
Close
like
enough
each
to be
other.
different, right? Close enough to be different though,
Yeah.
right? Lots of crosses, Jesus. Those are the things they agree on. There's some things that they don't agree on, but kind of following the same general path, right? Think of witches as kind of the same thing, right? There are people who follow a tradition, like an old Celtic tradition, right, of being respectful of nature and so on and
Oh,
so
is that
forth,
what it is? I'm
right?
listening. I'm being respectful.
And then there's people who like to rub crystals on themselves and think it's going to do something other than make them dirty, right? You know,
Yeah.
there's a tradition there that's where it sprang from, right? The shamanic tradition, like all cultures have those guys
Right.
and girls, you know, the people who were a little bit off, but kind of smart in a weird way, right? And could help the tribal leaders see some things a little bit differently, right? Those people have always existed and they're important to humanity. Now we call them ADHD and autistic or whatever, but whatever. So the witches would be the healers and the herbalists, and they would go out in the woods and try to figure out plants and shit, right? Like these are the guys who ate the mushrooms to see if it was hallucinogenic or poisonous. Kind of important,
Or just don't
right?
eat mushrooms.
Or just starve to death, whichever, you know,
Eat tree bark.
whatever. Eat some tree bark, sure, suck on it.
Suck on some tree bark jerky.
It'll make your death that much slower.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying to you is this, right? There's this perception of like weird shit that we've been passed down through these telephone game stories of how things are. And it's important sometimes to look back and really re-examine the facts from a different perspective.
Well, that would be great, but figuring that people are too lazy to even read the actual history of what happened in Salem and just prefer the 200 witches got burned at the stake and they were all women being drug out of their houses by angry mobs of religious radicals with
They'll believe anything.
pitchforks or whatever. No
Did you
one's
hear
doing
about
that.
the spaceship that's on its way?
Exactly right.
People will believe anything.
Exactly, yes.
The AWST saw a spaceship and it's headed towards Earth.
Well, hurry up and get here, all right? Because if we're gonna,
I know. I've been waiting for my ride for like
Yeah,
freaking
exactly.
6 years now. They were supposed to come pick me up before all this bullshit pandemic stuff
exactly.
happened.
If we're gonna fight, let's get it. I'm sick of waiting around for it. Let's just throw hands already. So, anyways,
Let me out of the simulation. Somebody hit the apocalypse button,
Right.
and I did not agree to that.
exactly. So there you have it, Enigmites. You have the true story of what went down at Salem Witch Trials, and I challenge any of you to go and literally take. It took me 20 minutes
It didn't take that long.
to get to the truth. It's not. They don't even hide it. Matter of fact, it was easier to find the truth than it was to find the lies of 200 women being burnt at the stake in Salem, which I did
I don't even know
find.
where that story came from, though.
Okay. You know exactly where it came from.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I
Got passed down from
I'm
all
surprised.
the oppressed witches throughout history, or the Wiccas, or the Wiccans, or whatever you look. You can pray to a potato for all I care. I don't care what you do in your off time, right? But like I said, yeah, that's just weird stuff to me. But it didn't happen, y'all. And like I said, I wasn't going to do this. I don't mess with the paranormal. The only reason why I took this on because it has absolutely zero paranormal in it. Nothing happened. There's nothing.
Yeah, there really wasn't any paranormal.
Nothing.
This was
not even a Ouija board.
Human greed.
Two little girls looking for a husband in a bowl of water with an egg. That's
what's interesting to me,
that's
right?
The closest
they got the
thing
girls to participate.
Yeah.
What was interesting is the little girls participated at first, and then they had progressively older people chiming in. It started at the 9 and the 11-year-old, and then it went to the 12-year-old, and then the 17-year-old.
Yeah. They were at that point. They're just ratting on their friends. That's all. They're just ratting on their friends at that point.
It went too far.
Went too far. But anyway, so Jay, I already know how this is going to be. We always like to wrap it up with the questions on that. Jay, Salem Witch Trials, real witches or politically motivated money grab?
I think it was a scam gone wrong.
Scam gone wrong.
a bad idea that found its footing and then just screwed everybody over.
Yeah. For me, I think it is just old money fighting old money, using the power of the church, which was the center of probably the social structure of the town, was the church. All about money, all about power. And believe you me, it was probably had a lot to do with get back. There was probably a lot of get back going on back there too. Like, you burnt my field, now I'm going to cut your trees down or something like that. But we can sit here and debate the whys about it. But one thing I can tell you 100% it was not about was anything to do with actual witches or witchcraft.
Do with witches.
Period.
That's crazy to me, man.
Exactly.
I thought it was
I thought it was real too, man.
I love this story because now I got to dig deeper into it. You said Masons, and I gotta
look on
that one out.
Go look on that.
I'm gonna dig deep because this is a surprise. Like, I was like, oh, Salem Witch Trials, okay, and then I dig deep in it, and I'm like, oh.
So there you go.
I like this one.
So I can't wait. I can't wait to start hurting witchy feelings with this. I can't. So look.
They should be happy that it had nothing to do with witches.
No, so I'm gonna let them know that it's a lie. I can't wait to tell them it's a lie. So look. If you stuck around this long, Enigmites, here's what I want you to do for the coming season. Every time you bump into a witch, go out of the way saying, hey, the Salem Witch Trials were a lie, right? And even if it says, I'm a witch, I know my truth, that's the one you really want to talk to right there. Go right there, right?
Show her the video. We'll make a special...
this will be everywhere. This will be on our thing.
Summary edition. You can just whip it out.
But the Salem Witch Trials had nothing to do with one witch, period. Zero.
All about stupid human tricks.
It's all about stupid human tricks and money and greed. But anyways, wow. If you stuck around this long, guys, you know what it is, man. You're our type of losers there.
I'm a loser.
Smash that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Hit Jay up and tell him he owes you a free t-shirt. First one that hits him up gets his free t-shirt on it. And look, I'll even go you a step further on this. If any witches or Wiccans or whatever want to come on and debate your truth, I'm not talking to you. You can talk to this guy right over here and make all the videos you want. I'll even put you up on the channel, but don't waste my time with this witchcraft fidukery. See,
dude, there's such a fascinating story going on here. There's literally a witch hunt happening right here, right now.
True. So,
in my town.
I believe it. Well, we don't want to put no people's business out there. But anyway, so that's all I got, and that's all you guys get for $1. We'll see you next time, nerds.
I'll get for $1.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.